Hello YouTube, this is BUB'S Comics coming at you with a quick unboxing. Not really a comic haul because I already own these comics, but an unboxing nonetheless. We've got a PGX unboxing for you today. So before we get too far into it, I'll just say a couple of words about this PGX, what people are really dying to hear right up front. So do I trust their grading? It's okay, and you'll see you'll see as we go along. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each one that I got returned back. I did already open the box because it's just a standard priority mail box. There's nothing special about it. It's packaged very well. They always package them very well. Lots of cellophane, and I like that they put that blue cellophane wrap on the books. They give you sleeves, with which CGC does not do. And they also give, they're not Mylar or anything, but they're polybag sleeves. They help protect the books. They also package them very well, lots of bubble wrap, and this is my second unboxing from PGX, and I've not had a problem yet. You know, quality control, I've got books from PGX, from CGC that had debris in them. I've had ones with scratches on the cover, so I don't think that they're certainly not any worse than CGC as far as their quality control, whom I think has the worst quality control. I think CGC scratches on the cases, and because of the premium service, you expect better quality control. But really, I think that their quality control is the people who complain will get reholdered, and the ones that don't, good. You know, so very unimpressed with them. So anyway, here's the first book. It is JSA Classified #1. This is the way I like to lower it in there. And let's see if we can get a good enough view on that. We're going to angle that up a little bit. And there you go. It's a 9.6. So, first thing everybody's going to want to know is, and I get this, I've got this before for using PGX, that why, and I'm not bragging in this way, but this is literally something that someone has said to me before. Someone with your collection, someone with my collection, should not be using PGX. That there's no excusable reason to use PGX. The kind of money that I spend on some of these books, it's a no-brainer that I would use CGC. Well, here's what I'll say. When I'm submitting books that I care about the grade really hard, and you know, everything has a reason. So when I'm submitting to CGC, it's because I like the cases the best. Turnaround time is fair. I don't hate their turnaround time. It's a little long for me. I tend to be impatient. But their turnaround time is fair, and their grades hold market value. And I like their cases the best. But their Newton rings are absolutely horrible. I've got books back with Newton rings before. Other people get them back. And all the CGC apologists out there, and there's tons of them, for every person willing to you know, rag on PGX, there's 10 more that are just happy to brag on CGC, and that's great. But I don't make apologies for any company. I let them make their own apologies. And CGC's apologies so far are, yeah, it's an issue, non-issue, it's nothing on the book. I'm like, look, I'm sending something in for a presentation. I want it to be preserved, I want it to be presented, and I want it to be graded. Those are the only things I care about when slabbing a book. And all of those three things should be present if you're the premier company. Well, I think they're knocking it out of the park on preservation, right? It's preserved. The book is preserved. I think the grade could be better. I think they're accurate as far as CGC. We're still talking about CGC here. I think their grading is accurate. However, now they're not giving graders notes for higher grades, and I think that really hurts the legitimacy of their grading. If you have nothing to stand behind it, then you're just throwing a number out there. And, you know, the grading is very loose, in my opinion, as well. There's a lot of very little difference between a 9.4 and a 9.8. Minor things here and there. And the fact that they don't hand out 10s, I think, is bogus as well. I think that, I know they hand out some for, you know, premium cardstock covers and things like that. But honestly, I think more books are 10s than they give credit for. So all that aside, let's get back to PGX. PGX graded this a 9.6. In my estimation, I had it at about a 9.4, a 9.2 to a 9.4. If I was selling this raw, ungraded, I would have sent this in, I would have listed it as a 9.2 and given myself a little bit of buffer space, because you know how people get on eBay and other selling platforms. They're always wanting to undercut your grading, which is one of the reasons why you go with a third-party grader. However, when the third-party grader overgrades, that doesn't really help your case. So in this case, the reason that I went with PGX for these sets of books, for this first two books, and then I'll show you the third book is a different reason, is because they authenticate signatures. Now, this is not a signature that I got in person. Generally, I would leave this, I would only use PGX for signatures that I acquire in person. And my feeling is that a PGX authenticated book is about as good as getting a COA. And honestly, I feel the same way about CBCS's authentication program. The difference is CBCS has the ugliest authentication label. That pink red label, that rose color label, looks like crap on most books, in my opinion. I hate the label, I hate the color, and also the CBCS cases I find to be very cheap feeling. They have a plasticky sound when you hold them, and these PGX cases are fairly solid. I think they do a pretty good job on them. I like them much better than the CBCS cases. So this, I paid for the authentication. The other reason that I went with PGX over CBCS is the cost. Now, a lot of people, the CGC apologist will tell you that CGC's costs are, pretty equal to PGX costs. I mean, they're a few dollars more per book, and why aren't you paying that difference for the difference in quality and market value? And I can agree with that. But PGX doesn't authenticate signatures. So they're telling me, if they don't authenticate signatures, they're telling me that if I have a book that I want to send in that has a signature that I know is authentic and I have no worries about the authentication, they don't want my business, because they're going to give it a green label, which is stupid, and say writing on cover. Okay, fine. So you're trying to push your yellow labels. I get it. But the fact of the matter is, you don't want my business if I have a book that's already got a signature on it. So that takes CGC right out of the market. If you've got a signed book, just forget about CGC unless you want one of those stupid green labels, which is pointless. So now your choices are CBCS or PGX. Well, CBCS, good luck getting your book back on time. Supposedly over the last month, they've really stepped up their return time and they're getting books back. Well, let me tell you something. You can go to their website and it shows the turnaround time is poor. You can contact them, and I've dealt with them before, and if any of you have ever dealt with CBCS, I'd be surprised if the story is very different than mine. It takes forever. They're very disorganized. You can't get tracking on your stuff for a while. They act like it's lost. All kinds of terrible stuff with their customer service. I find to be the poorest of the three. Also, their price for signature verification is very high, way too high. And their cost for the books is, for the grading and everything, is way too high. So they priced themselves out, in my opinion. Now, yes, it's Beckett's, and they're offering some more legitimacy towards their authentication. I would trust a CBCS authenticated book more than a PGX book. So I'll give it that. So it has more market value, and it has a greater reputation behind the authentication process. However, for books that I know are legit, and this book I don't necessarily know that, but to me, there are inherent flaws in any of those post-signed authenticating services, and that's why CGC generally, I think, stays away from it, and also to push their yellow labels. So for that reason, I feel like it's only as good as a COA, a red label, whatever. Now, PGX has these nice kind of bronzy silver labels. They're really nice. It's got a great kind of muted brown, bronze, silver color. It's really nice. I just love it. Very nice, solid, sturdy case. Nothing flimsy about that. It's a nice case. It's very clear. Doesn't have that bluish tint that CGC has, even though I like that little tint, but it doesn't have it. I think the grading is a little overgraded. Now, this is before I got my press, so I sent this in before I was pressing books. If I had my press before this, I believe this would have came back a 9.8. So, and I think if I had pressed it before selling it, I probably would have put it up as a near mint book. So I think the grading's pretty close on this one. Again, I think a pressing would have got it a 9.8 for sure with PGX. Love the book. Love the signature. I bought this at an LCS, so I was pretty confident of the signature. I was happy with it. So there you go. Next, I'm going to put up a book that I got signed in person. So this is another great example. Here's Greg Land's Legion of Monsters, Werewolf by Night. You guys know I'm a big Werewolf by Night fan. Great Greg Land signature. Absolutely love it. And it's an 8.5 according to PGX. Now this book got graded harshly because I definitely did not have a press when I sent this book in. If I did, I think I could have got it up to about a 9 or a 9.2. There's a lot of spine wear where I read the book. and there's a lot of dents. So one of the things that I don't like about what PGX did was that along the spine, you can kind of see that the book is kind of bowed in there. So I feel like their inner well needs a little bit of work. It needs to be a little tighter or a little more rigid. I don't like how much space is in there. Now that being said, that's probably what CGC is going to give you as an excuse for Newton rings. That they have it pressed so tight from the inner well to the outer casing that it gives you those Newton rings. Well, PGX is not, I've never seen a Newton ring on a PGX book, and if there are out there, there must be very few of them. So they've at least got the spacing correct, but I think if they used a more rigid inner well, they would be able to create a flatter look to that book because it has kind of a bowed look to it, the book does. And it had that when I sent it in, but it would have been nice to have it kind of straightened out a little bit. You know, maybe that's not something they want to do. They want to leave the book the way it's supposed to be, but honestly, I just think a more rigid inner well would have fixed that real easy. But again, presents very nice, very clean, looks good. I kind of wish that they had the hologram on the other side, but I bet that's something of a trademark problem. I remember there was this one little startup company, and CGC sued the pants off them until they went out of business. And I think that one of the main reasons they did that was because they had a similar front design with the sticker there. And this is already similar to CGC, similar enough that I think putting any kind of sticker up there might push it over the edge, and they'd probably get hit with some copyright infringements. So some patent works. So anyway, there's my Werewolf by Night. Now this I got signed in person, so I don't care about the legitimacy. I also don't care about the grade. I just wanted this one slabbed because it's one of my favorite covers. I wanted it slabbed, and CBCS is going to cost me an arm and a leg. CGC is going to give me an ugly ass green label, which I considered. But why am I paying for that when for the same price, actually less, I could get it done by PGX and get it back sooner too, because PGX had these turned around in 30 days. You know, what more can you say about that? Very quick. So there's my Legion of Monsters Werewolf by Night. So the next one I'm going to show, the last book that I got back in this PGX haul, is Superman number 75, Death of Superman. And you say, really? You know, that's probably, everybody's probably guessing that's the number one book sent into PGX, really. But here's the deal on this one. This one's not mine. My brother-in-law had a collection of comics that he collected when he was younger. Actually, he was in the service during that time. And he picked up a bunch of comics, and a lot of them were overseas, and most of them all newsstand. Picked up a bunch of books, and he was just kind of collecting, kind of like an investment, I think. Some of them he actually liked, I think, but it was also a little bit of an investment. And he knew that I dealt in comics, so he let me look through them, and basically I bought some of them from him at fair market value, a little bit over actually. And then the rest I sold for him, and I gave him full price for all of it. I didn't keep anything back, right? Gave him all the money I got from that. But this book, I gave him the money for. Like, I bought it from him in a sense, but then I went ahead and got it slabbed, and I'm going to present it to him for his birthday. So this is a gift. So I think, and again, this is another nice thing to use PGX for. They make great gifts. And why do I say it like that? Well, because if you're a big comic collector or something like that, you're probably going to want CGC or CBCS. but you pay a lot of money for that privilege of having the prettier case, right? And if you're really not a comic collector, then it kind of doesn't mean anything to you, the different grading companies. Most people who just are, on the fringe aware of comics don't even know that there's such a thing as slabbing books. I mean, they have no idea that that's a part of the hobby or can be. So this is a book that he was going to let go of. I thought it was in pretty good condition. I didn't think it was a 9.8 or a 9.6 because it has spine wear. You can tell it's been opened. Other than that, it's in pretty good shape. There's a couple of dents in it, which I would have thought would have got knocked as well, but no. So I would say that this book, again, would have been about a 9.2 or a 9.4 at best. So, and if I had pressed it, maybe a 9.6. But surprisingly enough, it came back at a 9.6 the way it was. It's got all the good information on there. It says, DC 193, crossover with Justice League of America 70, Death of Superman, and Doomsday. Gatefold back cover, white pages. So it gives you a lot of great information. Dan Jurgens' art cover and Dan Jurgens' story. And then on the back, it has all the little hologram and all the usual stuff. So pretty cool. Again, case is really clear. The thickness is nice. I think the CGC cases start getting a little thick, which is funny because I really like the Golden Age cases, the super thick cases. I love that. But I think that they could go back to kind of a thinner case like they used to have if they had a strong acrylic like this is. The old CGC cases were a little flimsy. They're kind of like the CBCS cases. But these PGX cases, and I think these are the slightly newer ones, because I have from my old order, I have a couple of those left, and they're not this clear and they're not this strong and rigid. They're a little bit weaker than these. So I think they might be using a different mold or a different type of acrylic. It's very clear. It's very nice. Blue label. I actually like this color blue better than the CGC blue, which is really rich blue. I think it's a little too strong. I like that this presents the book a little bit better and gives it a nice clean look without bringing too much attention to the label. Now, it brings attention to the grade. It still stands out, but which I don't like the CBCS, where they put the grade just on the color and it kind of masks it. It looks ugly to me. I like the window for the grade, but then I want the rest of it to be a little bit softer. CGC red label, CGC green label, blue label, purple label, all very, very strong, striking colors. And this is nice and subtle, so I like that. Again, I'd like to have the little PGX sticker here, but you can't have it all, right? Other than that, that's pretty much my review of PGX. They were quick. The cost is much less than CBCS. If you're comparing it to CGC, that's kind of pointless. CGC doesn't want my money if I have a signed book. Now, this wasn't a signed book, but I know that I could get this back in a reasonable amount of time. And the other thing was that I had some of those rubber bumpers that they used to make, and I was going to put one of these in that to give it as a gift, because I'm sure he doesn't have any comic mounts or anything like that to hang it or whatever. So I'm putting this in a rubber bumper, and I'm going to give it to him. And the new cases, CGC cases, don't fit those rubber bumpers. So I had a lot of reasons why going with this company, but anytime you have just kind of a blind allegiance to one company and you write off all the others, that's really just playing to the company's marketing and playing to their weaknesses, really. Because if one company wants your business and is giving you every reason to use them, and another company doesn't want your business, don't give your money to the company that doesn't want your business. If you have a signed book, already signed, CGC doesn't want your business. So you're stuck between CBCS or PGX, and for my money, because it's 20% cheaper or more, you're better off going, I think, you're better off going with PGX for their signature verification, because let's face it, even the best signature verification is not a yellow label. And if you're going to fall short of a yellow label, you might as well go with one that's more cost effective and looks better than that ugly rose color that CBCS has. So that's it. That's my quick haul. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I know that PGX videos and CGC videos and CBCS videos can get a lot of attention. I'm not trying to call anybody out or pick on anybody. This is just what I do. I feel like PGX has a place in my collection. And the biggest place it has is for books that I personally witnessed the signature of that I still want slabbed because I enjoy looking at the cover and I want to preserve the book. And for that, that's where PGX is going to win. I already assume it's not a 9.8 because I handed it to some ham-fisted artist and had him sign it. And have you ever seen some of these artists, man? They like, I swear they'll lay like a cup of soda on top of it while they're signing it sometimes. It's really just, it'll rack your nerves if you're trying to keep a 9.8 a 9.8. So don't even go into it hoping for that. Then you got to pack it back, and by the time you ship it in, it's probably not going to be a 9.8. So anyway, there's my little spiel, PGX haul. We'll go through them real quick again. There was Superman number 75. Here's Werewolf by Night, Legion of Monsters Werewolf by Night. And here's my girl, Supergirl, or Power Girl rather, on JSA Classified number 1. So there you go. Hope y'all enjoyed that, and we'll catch you next time on BUB'S Comics. Read a comic. Thanks. Bye.